here this morning to worship you. Lord, we're falling on our knees, thanking you for the gift of your Son. Thank you for coming to earth, making a way for us to be with you. Lord, we love you and worship you this morning. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Good morning.
Good morning.
Check, 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 check. Mom? I'm not on her. Check. Check, check. I'm not plugged in. Okay, all right. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to introduce you to Claire Elizabeth Dawes, and she was a gift to us this year. She rounds it out that we now have 4 grandsons and 4 granddaughters, and she is absolutely precious. Aren't you, Claire? Yeah. This is Josh and Becca's next child. Notice I didn't say last. I said next. Claire is a beautiful baby girl, and she has the most brilliant eyes, and she's just giving y'all the once-over. Yeah, you like that little fuzzy thing there, don't you? Yeah. Claire is a gift from God. She really is. You know, and all babies are. That's why we are so strongly pro-life around here. I can't imagine anyone hurting a little one like this. Claire is here today. You know, a lot of times my grandchildren inform me things. And Hudson is great. That's the older brother. And he leaned forward and he said, you know you're dedicating her today. And I said, I am. Okay. All right. So this is what's going on. So today, I want you to know that life is precious. And this child was given us by God. A day will come, Claire, that you will hear a message from your mom and dad because they live for the Lord. They teach you, and they're in the Word every day. And your brothers are in the Word. That you're going to hear something that's going to touch your heart, and it's going to be about the person of Jesus Christ. And on that day, you're going to say yes to Him. I'm not sure what the age will be, but I would say do it as early as you can, so that you can live your life for Jesus, for God. And I pray that the day will come that I'll get to baptize you and see you go down in the waters. I want to hear you pray, but I want your mom and dad to lead you. And I want you to hear you pray and say, Jesus, yeah, come into my heart. Yeah. And then you're going to walk and you're going to live for the Lord. You're going to study your Bible. You're going to learn how to pray. You got 3 older brothers that are going to keep you safe. They dote over you already, and they love you. And they're going to keep ugly boys away from you. They'll let nice boys come see you. Yeah. One day, some little old boy is going to come and steal your heart, and you're going to steal his, and then y'all can live your life together, trusting the Lord. I pray for the day of your salvation. Lord, I pray for Claire. I pray, Father, that you would take care of her. Love her and protect her. Empower her daddy to be a strong man of God, and empower her mother to be a strong, virtuous woman. Josh, are you going to be the man that she needs? Becca, are you going to be the woman that that this little girl needs. Grant, Hudson, Ethan. Oh, my goodness. Did that hit you? Did that bite you? Oh, it might have. Yeah. Yeah. Grant and Hudson, are y'all going to live the life and demonstrate the Christ-like life for her? Yes. Good, strong yes. All right. Lord. Lala? What? I said Ethan, didn't I? I did not. Grant, Hudson, and Ethan. Ethan, man, are you going to live the Christ-like life and demonstrate it for her? Yes. All right. Yes. Lala, are you going to do your part? All right. Lord, I pray that you would protect this baby and love her throughout her life and let her be a light unto the world. In Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Thank you, Hudson, for making me aware. Everybody needs a Hudson in their family. So, good morning. Glad to see you here, and I want us to continue worshiping. We're in the midst of the most robust economy that we've seen in a number of years. Oh my goodness. Thriving economy. And because of that, basically what we're hearing is that America will set records this year as far as sales. It is estimated that we're going to spend $750 billion in the Christmas season. And that dates November 1st to December 31st. And that we're going to hire 530,000 temp workers. And so there's a lot of Christmas going on. In fact, that number, $750 billion during the Christmas season, doubles what we did in 2000. And so it is growing. This year we'll set records. People were asked, who's the number one person that you buy for? And give us the top 10. So the top 10. Number one came in and it was tied. Kids and grandkids, tied for number one. That's fine. I love that. What was disturbing about this whole poll, though, coming at number 10 was dads. And that's really disturbing. I really think that we need to withhold our share of the resources until that number comes back. We need to be up there around number 3 at least. And so that's what's going on. This is going to be a good year for Lego. Always a good year for Lego. Good year for Marvel. A good year for Frozen, even though Frozen 2 wasn't much to watch. It's still going to be a good year for Frozen. Disney will do some really good stuff, and it'll have good sales and whatever. Top 3 companies this year in sales will be Amazon, Walmart, and Target. And some of you, Sheila and I got out real early, about 5 o'clock, on our computer with Amazon.
Click, 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 click.
It was
His finger was tied.
Rush. Wrapping paper. This year, we will use 560 million miles of wrapping paper to wrap these gifts. In fact, somebody sat around and did the math, and they figured out that that would cover 5,796 football fields. You could completely cover that many football fields. Don't tell Boise State, or they'll have their football field wrapped like a Christmas decorations. And some of you don't cover Boise State, so you don't even know what that means. they usually have royal blue AstroTurf. So who started this thing? Let's get into the message. Who started this whole process? You know, a lot of people go back to the Druids, and they go back to myths and fables, and where did all the gift giving start from? Well, technically, it began with God. God looked down and decided that he wanted to give the best gift he could to a world that needed recovery. They needed freedom. Now, God doesn't agonize over things at all. God just knows. He has perfect knowledge. And so God knew exactly what to do. He did not go to the bargain table. He did not go and say, I need angel third class. I need you to go and do what needs to be done. He didn't go second class. He didn't go even first class, angel. He gave his best. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. And so God started the whole process of giving at Christmas. And so he gave the very best he could. Now, around our house, gift giving between Sheila and I is absolutely worlds apart. I could get all of the Christmas shopping done probably in 10 minutes. I mean, I see the list, I know what they want, I know where it is, press the button, and let's get on and let's get some sleep. It's midnight, 12:01, Black Friday. Sheila is totally opposite. She will agonize over that thing. She just struggles with it. And I said, why do you go to this misery? And it's an equality thing. And I reckon women only understand that. Guys, they look at it, and I got 4 gifts, you got 4 gifts, we're fine. Women look at it and know the value of that is this, and they're going to tag it, and they're going to add it up, and they're going to know, and so I can't have it any other way than it's all got to be equal in size and amount and whatever. And so they agonize over it. God just looked and said, I know what they need. I'm going to give them my best, and I'm going to give Jesus Christ to recover mankind, the emergency recovery plan he called out, number 1, and Jesus was willing to lay down everything and become the greatest gift of Christmas. Now, this whole idea of exchanging gifts probably came through the Magi. Now, who are the Magi? Well, during the days of Daniel, there were astrologers, Magi, that were called many times king makers. And so they would go around country to country, and they would anoint kings, and they would have special ceremonies, and they'd bring gifts. And these were king makers. And so in the beginning, everybody looked at Daniel with a little suspicion. But as his fame grew, and as his prophecies came true, suddenly those kingmakers and astrologers and magi began to respect him. And one day, 600 years prior to the birth of Jesus, Daniel gave a prophecy that someone that was awesome was going to be born. He was going to come, and he was going to lead mankind into freedom. And the Magi were just overwhelmed with this whole idea. And they began preparing. They began to think about it. And so for 600 years now, the message about one coming has come to them. And so they're sharing it. And they share it with the next generation and the next generation. And so they've had 600 years to think about it. And so they did not want to go to the bargain table. They did not want to shop Walmart or Target or Amazon. They wanted something that was absolutely incredible. So over the next 3 weeks, we're going to have the program is next week. The bulletin says the 15th. The program is next week, our Christmas program, and you need to remember that. And then the following 2 weeks, we're going to look at the next 2 gifts. But these gifts are thought through, and they have meaning. There are some people in life that you probably have on your list that you don't give an awful lot of. You just, a lot of times they gave us something, we better give them something. That kind of relationship. But there's going to be that person that is so special to you that you want to do something that says something more than just, I got you a gift. And so the Magi, knowing someone great is coming, have now used 600 years to get ready for this event. And what they give is the most incredible 3 gifts, and it is tremendous meaning. Now, what I want us to do is evaluate if God gave me his greatest and my exchange a gift, do I need to be going to the bargain table? Do I need to walk into Target and there's got that place right up there that everything's $1? And so that's what I want to go to the bargain table in my life, and I want to give everything that's $1. Everything that's 99 cents, that's what I want to give to God. Or does God's perfect gift to me in the person of Jesus Christ deserve something more than just my bargain gift? What is it that I could give to him? With that in mind, would you take your copy of the scriptures and let's turn to our passage in Matthew chapter 2, and let's read the words that God has for us. In Matthew 2 and verse 9, and when they had heard the king, they departed and beheld the star which they had seen in the east, went before them till it came and stood over where the young child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with extraordinary great joy. And when they had come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary's mother and fell down and worshipped him. And when he had opened their treasures, they presented gifts to him, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And being divinely warned in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed for their own country another way. So this morning, there's 3 things I want you to see about this gift. The first gift, the gift of gold. Gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Gold is symbolic of purity. In Malachi chapter 3, verse 3, it says, he will purify the sons of Levi and purge them as gold and silver, that they may offer to the Lord an offering in righteousness. Now, the process of purifying gold is simply this. You take raw gold and you put it into a melting pot, and you heat it to a high temperature. And what happens when it melts, gold is so heavy that it sinks, and everything else rises to the top. That which rises to the top is called dross. It's called the waste material. It's the impurities. And what happens, a goldsmith will simply come over there and he'll take a scoop and he'll scoop up the impurities. And so he continues to do that, continues to heat it, continues to melt it, and all of the impurities are rising to the top, and he's scooping off the impurities until finally the goldsmith can see his reflection in what he's looking at, and at that point we know the gold is pure. Now, pure gold, when it cools down just by itself, is a very soft metal. And so what we do in our world is simply this. We basically add alloys to it. And that's where you come up with this whole idea of carats. It's interesting to me, in India, the carat of choice is 22 karat gold. If you go to India, they prefer 22 karat gold. If you go to Europe, they prefer 18 karat gold, but here in the United States, we go for 14 karat gold because of price and everything else. We prefer more 14 karat gold. And so So the question is, okay, why in the world would the Magi bring gold to a baby? Well, it represents and symbolic of purity. When baby Jesus came, he had nothing on him. He was born of a virgin, and so there was no string attached to sin. All of us were born in sin because we're from Adam and Eve, but not baby Jesus. He was born of a virgin, and so the bloodline was not tainted, and so Jesus was pure. It was recognizing his purity. It was a well thought out gift to think about, here's a man, here's a child that is coming that is absolutely pure and absolutely holy. And so here's one that is pure in his whole essence. Now, how do we get holy? Well, as we who are impure stand closer to that which is pure, it begins to reveal the problem within us. You see, it would be nice if in one fell swoop, all of our impurities were released and we got rid of it all. But the closer you get to God, the closer you get to Jesus Christ, it's like peeling an onion. The more we see, and the more we understand. And as we get closer and closer, his pure, white purity, that hot holiness of purity, begins to radiate on us, revealing everything that is not just like him. So when the Magi were coming and giving a gold to a child, they were in essence recognizing this was something different. This was somebody different. And gold stood for purity. This was going to be absolutely God. And so this morning, as you think about what you need to give back to God, no bargain table gift is going to be enough. How can we neglect so great a gift, so great a salvation? How can we attempt to match that if all we want to do is give him the leftovers and give him the time that is left after we've done everything that we want to do? This gift of gold represents his purity. His purity. But let's go on. There's something else we need to see. The gold is representative of marriage. Interesting. So it was when the camels had finished drinking. Now, this is a story about Abraham when he was desiring a wife for his son, Isaac. And so he just simply sent the servant out looking. Under the inspiration of God, under the leadership of the Holy Spirit, here goes the servant, and he spots this lady and the way she's acting and the character and some things about her. But all of a sudden, his eyes just latched onto this girl, and he thought, this is the one. So it was when the camels had finished drinking that the man took a gold nose ring weighing a half a shekel, and 2 bracelets for her wrist weighing 10 shekels of gold, and said, "Whose daughter are you? Tell me, please, is there room in your father's house for us to lodge?" Now, gold has always been a symbol of a golden ring, as a symbol of marriage. Now, back then, guys, you stuck it in your nose. And so that nose ring was the same thing as a wedding. This was almost is like her engagement. When he gives her that nose ring, it is leading up to the fact that this is going to be Isaac's wife. And so he is recognizing this is the one. Now, the question is, if gold rings have been symbolic, why in the world would the Magi give this to a baby? Well, did they understand everything? Probably not. But this was God's sovereignty influencing their gifts. They probably didn't understand all the purity stuff. They probably didn't understand all the marriage stuff. But God's sovereignty led them to the perfect gift. And this was gold. And gold was used in a wedding. It was representative of marriage. So, who is this baby? This Christ child is the one that came to be married to the church. Now, we are the bride of Christ. We are the bride of Christ. And the groom is Jesus Christ. And so we're in a marriage relationship, and that gold is part of that understanding that we're in a relationship with Jesus Christ. Now, Jesus has never been unfaithful. We never can point to a fact that, boy, he had eyes for somebody else. He had eyes for this person or that person. Jesus Christ has always been loyal, faithful, true. But we've not done really good. We've had a problem. Our walk with the Lord as the church today, as the bride of Christ, is really illustrated by an Old Testament story. The Old Testament story is simply Hosea and Gomer. God wanted to make a point one day, and so he told his prophet, I want you to do something unusual, but I want you to go and I want you to take a woman who's not nice, a prostitute. I want you to marry her. It was just shocking that he would want him to do that. But Hosea was a prophet that wanted to do what God wanted him to do. And so Hosea took Gomer as his wife, a known lady of the evening, a known, not very nice lady. And he took her as his wife. They married, and it was not long into the marriage that she became unfaithful. Not once, twice, 3 times. She was unfaithful to Hosea. And what did God tell? After all that, after having the right to say, come on, God, let me put her away. Let me divorce her. Let me get rid of her. After all of that, God told Hosea, go and take her back. Win her back. Woo her back. And so he built prayed a hedge of thorns around her that her lovers would reject her, and he took her back. All of that is symbolic. As faithful as God is to us, we are so unfaithful, so lacking in loyalty to Jesus Christ. We run after other gods. We run after other interests. Here, God deserves first place. But in many of our lives, it's not first place that. He may come in at number 7. He may come in at number 10. He comes way down the list, and there are other gods in front of him. Hobbies, work, sports. It may be your house. It may be your decorations. It may be your security system. It may be your monetary wealth. But all of that comes in above Jesus Christ. And we have been as unfaithful as Gomer was to Hosea. So what is the meaning here? And again, they may never have understood all of this, but I believe under God's sovereignty, he directed them to give gold, symbolic of purity, and now symbolic of marriage. For we are to be in that relationship with Jesus Christ. Now, based on that, what's something you could give back to him? I'm going to do better. I'm going to be a little more loyal. I'm going to bump him up to number 5. Are we going to see with eyes to understand what God did for us? He took my guilt, my sin, and threw it out. And now he deserves the best that I can give him. Are we going to shop at the bargain table, or are we going to give him our best? And then there's a third thing that I want you to see, and that is gold is appropriate for a king. And they're planning. This is the one thing they may have understood. They may not have understood the purity. They may not have understood the marriage thing, but under sovereignty, God directed it. But they did know this. Gold is appropriate for a king. It says in 1 Kings chapter 10, the weight of gold that came to Solomon yearly was 666 talents of gold. Wouldn't it be great if there was one more talent? 667. By the way, eyes back up here. We got 11 guys we're going to baptize in about 10 minutes. Wouldn't it be great if we could add one talent? It would be 667 talents. The weight of gold that came to Solomon yearly was 666 talents of gold. Besides that, from the traveling merchants, from the income of traders, from all the kings of Arabia, and from the governors of the country. This was tax, tariffs, trade. All of this came into the treasury of Solomon. By the way, just so you'll know how much that is, that's 25 tons of gold every year. 50,000 pounds of gold every year. On today's market, that would be $1,165 billion annually coming in to King Solomon. And so gold is an appropriate gift to a king. But look at 2 Samuel 12. So David gathered all the people together and went to Rabbah, fought against it, and took it. And then he went over to the opposing king and he took the crown off his head. Its weight was a talent of gold with precious stones, and they took that and put it on David's head. By the way, a talent of gold weighs 75 pounds. I'd love to see the neck on this guy, that you're wearing a 75-pound crown, but it was gold. And so here again, gold, an appropriate gift for a king. And then one other thing that I want you to see, and this is from 1 Kings 21. Let's see. So Solomon overlaid the inside of the temple with pure gold. He stretched gold chains across the front of the inner sanctuary, overlaid it with gold. The whole temple he overlaid with gold until he had finished all the temple. Also he overlaid with the gold the entire altar that was by the inner sanctuary. And let me just say this. They understood that the Magi, that gold was appropriate for a king. They didn't know anything about this, but this is where the sovereignty of God, God's dwelling place in the tabernacle was gold. God's dwelling place and the temple and the tabernacle both was gold. It's an appropriate gift for a king. So when they gave that gift, it symbolized his purity, it symbolized his marriage, and it symbolized he was king. Now, with that in mind, are you going to look at this and do it like a gift to that person that, you know, does anybody else have this? I'm not saying we do this, but does anybody else have people on your list that do we really have to get to them again this year? Do we really have to send them a Christmas card again this year? Do you have people on your list like that? I'm not saying we do, but some of you might. Is that the way we treat God? You see, God deserves more than the bargain table. God deserves more than the leftovers. So what would be appropriate? If gold and frankincense and myrrh are going to be symbolic, what really is it that we could give that right now God would say, you don't have to worry about the gold. I've got enough gold. You don't have to worry about the frankincense, the myrrh. We're going to see all that. What is God looking for? This is what he's looking for. He's looking for a surrendered life. Just a life that says, I surrender all. Have it all. Order my life, order my money, order my time, order what I say, where I go, and what I do. And that's a surrendered life, and it's an appropriate gift to someone who gave us his best.